Welcome to Melrose Unitarian Universalist Church. Our service today is called The Long Road to Freedom. Thank you for being here. So, good morning, everyone. Good morning. It's nice to see you all. I'm Reverend Dr. Suzanne Trilligator. My pronouns are she and hers, and I'll admit it, I'm a little nervous. I'm a little anxious. It's one of those seasons. It is a little worrying bit of a season. So it's extra healthy and extra good for us to be together now. Extra good for all of us, I think, to gather and invoke ideals that transcend this moment, values that connect us with all of humanity and with the whole web of life. So thank you for being here for me, and thank you for being here for each other. Our church is a vibrant, caring community dedicated to love and service. If you're joining us for the first time, we have a greeter here to answer any questions you might have, and today that's Beth Yergrau. Beth, I know you're here. I think you might be out in the hallway. Anyway, I was going to have her wave. Thank you to Beth, and also to today's usher, John Raymond, and to our coffee hour hosts, Ann Easterbrooks and Doug Dick. Thanks to everybody who helps make worship here possible. There's John. So before we get going, I have just a few quick announcements. We are still looking for helpers to cook or serve our Bread of Life meal this Thursday, October 31st. See Martha Borkin if you can help with that. Martha's here. There you go. Nice waving, Martha. That's how it's done. And we're going to have circle suppers on November 9th. And so we're organizing that right now, and it would help if people signed up to either host or to be there as a guest. There'll be a table, not a table, but Susan Danielson. There's Susan. Susan will be wandering around in coffee hour signing people up. So if you're interested in attending, please see Susan. Thank you for doing that. Also in coffee hour, we'll have a table for the auction. So if you need more information about the auction or you've got something to donate, please seek out that table. I wanted to let you know that next Sunday will be our annual All Souls service. That's the one time a year, or the time of year we dedicate the entire worship service to remembering our beloveds who have passed. So I invite everyone who would like to bring a photo, a memento, or a memory to share in the worship service. That will be next Sunday. I also wanted to let you know that on Tuesday, November 5th, which is Election Day, we'll have our second Silent Sanctuary event. That's a half an hour where the sanctuary will be open in silence, and you're welcome to come and gather here in candlelight. It will just be a half an hour of silence. The following night, Wednesday, November 6th, we may have some results in, so I am going to have an informal Vespers service from 7 to 8 p.m. on Wednesday, November 6th. Everyone is welcome, and we will light candles, pray for democracy, share our thoughts, and keep each other whole as we wait. So that's Wednesday, November 9th from 7 to 8. Thankfully, today's service is something special. We are gathered as a whole church family. We have the privilege and honor of having our kids join us for the whole hour. So things will be slightly different. Our shared silence will be a little bit shorter. And in place of the sermon, we will have a time for everyone to reflect together. There's our order of service QR code. I see people lifting their phones to get it. So the QR code is available on our website. And if you bring out your phone now and point it at the QR code, you can get to the order of service. As I was saying, in place of the sermon, there will be a time instead for reflecting, each of us separately and then together, and sharing with one another. So that should be fun and different. Before that, however, we have a really special treat. Our story is special today. It's a little longer than usual and a bit more interactive, but the best part of it is that our kids are going to tell us the story today. Yay, I know. Scarlett's excited about that, and me too. So follow along in the order of service if you like. And now it's the moment where we turn to one another and we greet each other. We say, good morning, welcome to worship, thank you for coming.
When times are uncertain, we find inspiration in our lives of those who have gone before us, those who have braved the dark times, those who have fought and won freedoms we now cherish and defend. I call us to worship this morning with these words from Nelson Mandela. I have walked the long road to freedom. I have tried not to falter. I have made missteps along the way. But I have discovered the secret that after climbing a great hill, one only finds that there are many more hills to climb. I've taken a moment here to rest, to steal a view of the glorious vista that surrounds me, to look back on the distance I have come. But I can only rest for a moment, for with freedom comes responsibility, and I dare not linger, for my long walk is not ended. And now we light the symbol of our faith, the flaming chalice. Here to light ours this morning is the RE kids. So Allison, if you could please come up, and all of you, if you would love to come up and help light the chalice, that is more than encouraged.
Okay. Wait, does this thing actually work? Hello. Okay. For this multi-generational service, we kids want to share with you the words and motions we use when we light the chalice in our meeting room downstairs. The words will appear here on the screen, and we will show you the motions that go with each line. I invite you now to rise in body or in spirit and join me as you feel comfortable. We are Unitarian Universalists. We are the Church of the open mind, the loving heart, and helping hands. Together we care for our earth and work for friendship and peace in our time.
Please remain standing for our opening hymn, I Wish I Knew How, number 151 in the gray hymnal, and of course it will always be up on the projector as well. In a few moments, the life of Fanny Barrier Williams will be told to you by our fantastic, incredible young folks. This story comes from a month-long process of learning about her through her history and thinking about it deeply together. There are other religious educators, historians, and YouTube videos that should all be contributed to the final script in its current form, because they were my sources and where the kids first learned about her. Now, you may wonder, why are we talking about Fanny? This month is all about freedom. Fanny is part of the long road to freedom that Mandela mentioned. She worked within community to help gain voting rights, access to health care, no matter race. She was an artist, a musician, and so much more. She had times when she was exhausted, but she kept going, and that work and labor should be honored and noticed. She is one of our Unitarian ancestors that we can look to and offer a thanksgiving for all she did in her life to help make the world a little more free for us. So with that, our kids will take it away.
A long time ago, although not too long ago, a woman named Fanny Barrier Williams was born in Brockport, New York in 1855. She grew up in a community that allowed both black and white people to be together, which was rare for the time. She was the first black woman to graduate with a degree in education from state normal school. She became a teacher, and that would be when she left her community.
However, when Fanny left her community, she learned that other places in the United States did not allow black folks in the same spaces as white people. This included a place not too far from us, Boston, at the New England Conservatory of Music. In 1894, Fanny came to Boston to play piano. She already knew how, but she wanted to grow her skills, and she thought Boston would be the place to do it. However, when she got there, the white students were not happy with her being there. They threatened to leave if she stayed, so the people in charge told her she needed to leave, so she did.
When Fanny wrote about this experience, she said, "I never quite recovered from the shock and pain of my first bitter realization that to be a colored woman is to be discredited, mistrusted, and often meanly hated. It might be hard to hear that experience came of Boston, but it is part of the history of where we live. The world wasn't a kind one to her, and that rightfully made her sad and tired. It also made her determined to make the United States kinder for black folks in the future. She did this as an educator and an activist."
Fanny went to D.C. for a while and taught, took a portraits class, made friends, and married her husband, Samuel Lang Williams. After marriage, they moved to Chicago. It was there in Chicago that she became part of our Unitarian history. She knew that the path towards greater freedom for all meant a lot of work. So with the Unitarian Church, she helped to found a hospital that helped anyone, no matter the skin color, giving people access to medicine they didn't have access to before.
Fanny gave speeches at important events thinking about religion, and was friends with other people you may know the name of, such as Frederick Douglass, Ida B. Wells Barrett, Frances Ellen Watkins Harper, and W.E.B. Du Bois. Together they founded NAACP. Before that, Fanny helped form the National League of Colored Women, which became National Association of Colored Women. She did activism around votes for women and worked hard to try and get a vote for every woman, because she knew her voice was as important as any man's and any white person's.
Here you can see how Fanny combined her passion for education with activism to help pursue a better future. She talked with people and taught them and sought a way forward. Sadly, Fanny didn't get to see some of her biggest dreams come true, like black women getting equal access to the right to vote, but she helped pave the road for it, and she helped create systems that would support and sustain black people long after her. For that, we remember as someone who worked for a freer world.
Big round of applause to our kids for a time for all ages.
Thank you so much for that wonderful story and for all the props and for everybody participating. She is really a remarkable person, and I'm glad that we are remembering her. We're going to think about Fanny throughout the service and talk about her a little bit more later on. But right now is the middle of the service, and that's when we do our time for prayer and meditation. Every Sunday, we practice this time of meditation. It's a time that connects us to ourselves, our understanding of the divine, and the world around us. So let's take a deep breath together, if you like. Close your eyes if you feel comfortable. Relax into your seat. Feel in touch with the ground and the earth. Keep breathing. In our time of meditation today, first we'll join in our centering song, then we'll sit for a shorter time of shared quiet. Then we will share our joys and sorrows with each other, and I will lead us in a prayer. Our worship theme for October is freedom. And as we move toward the election, our centering song for the month is Circle Round for Freedom, number 155. Remain seated, and please join in the song as you like. Let it guide you gently into our time of shared quiet. Every Sunday in our Every Sunday in our worship service, we take time to share with one another the milestones of our lives, our personal joys and sorrows. We do this with deep care and deep listening so that we come to understand one another better, and we are knit into an ever stronger community. So I invite anyone who has a sorrow to share to come forward, please, and speak from the microphone so everyone can hear you and see you. I invite anyone who's watching on Zoom to go ahead and type into the chat box, and I will read your sorrow aloud. And I will share that I forgot to have John light the first candle. So John, would you please light one candle for all the sorrows that were shared and some that remain in our hearts, and then light a second candle for all the joys that were shared this morning. May the candles be a reminder to us both to reach out to the people in our lives and feel the connection to them and offer them our love and care, and also to feel grateful for all the many blessings in our lives. Thank you, John. Please join me in the spirit of prayer as you feel comfortable. For all the people today suffering in wars around the world, we pause. We send you our love and our hope, and we pray for peace. For all the people suffering today from cruelty or hunger, we pause. We send you our love and our hope, and we pray for justice. For our own hearts, for all that is worrying us today and weighing us down, we pause. We send each other our love and our hope, and we pray for healing. In times of waiting and wandering, in times of anguish and worry, we need one another. A pat on the back, a handshake, a hug, a smile that says, I see you, I know you. All of it keeps us connected, helps us feel that we are not alone. We have one another. Let us, in this moment, feel our living, breathing connection to one another. We have one another. And we have our ancestors, the memory of those who came before us, those who knew hardship and loss and still survived and persevered and built for us this faith, this house, this family, this freedom. Spirit of life, help us to build strength from this heritage. Help us to build strength from this community, for this community, so that we might meet the future with compassion and courage and hope. Amen.
Our church is self-funded, supported by your generous annual pledge. You may also give to our weekly collection, which we split every month with a worthy group via our Giving Beyond Our Walls program. Remote folks can donate using the orange button at the top right corner of our homepage at melroseuu.org. For the month of October, half of our collection will go to the MUUC Ministers Discretionary Fund. Separate from our church budget, this fund goes to help members of our community who are struggling with basic expenses like food, housing, or medical bills. It's one of the ways we care for each other here. The fund is operated confidentially by Reverend Suzanne. Just email or phone her to make a request. This morning for our anthem, we're going to sing a song by the singer-songwriter Jean Roa. About 12 years ago, she introduced or proposed a new national anthem. This is called Arise, Arise. And we'd like you all to join in on the chorus. So let's rehearse. Bill, if you would, thank you very much. It goes like this. Arise, arise, I see the future in your eyes, to a more perfect join in as you feel free.
Instead of a sermon today, we're going to take time to reflect on the story and share with one another. So in your pews, you'll notice there are pens and paper, or markers, more accurately. They can be found on the side of the pew that goes towards the center aisle. I want you to take a second to pass it down so each person has one piece of paper and a marker. If there are a few pieces of paper or markers short, please raise your hands and the ushers will bring you some paper and markers. If you're on Zoom, you have something to write with nearby, grab it so you can participate as well. We're about to do some reflective, meditative, grounding moments together. There'll be some guided questions, and you can write or draw what thoughts come to your mind as you hear the questions. So everyone take a deep breath in and out. Center yourself in this moment. We are all in together. It is a big word to think about, the word freedom. What does freedom mean to you? Take a few moments to draw or write and reflect on the idea of freedom. Take another breath in and out. Remind yourself of the story we heard from our young folks. There are many people who have made the world a freer, better place. Did you know about Fannie Barrier Williams before today? If you didn't, why do you think you haven't heard of her before? If you have, what was hearing the story like with your knowledge of her? Take another moment to reflect on your paper. Another breath in and out. Note what things have come up for you so far as you've done this, as you reflect on freedom and on Fannie Barrier Williams. And finally, take a second or more to think about what stood out to you the most in the story. What part will stick with you after Sunday? What learnings did you take away from this? Now take another few moments. Another breath in and out. Look at your paper. Maybe think about what you would add to it or what you appreciate from it. See how this has helped you reflect on these questions. And now I'm going to ask y'all to talk to each other. So I want you to find a person near you in your pew or behind your pew and take a few minutes to reflect on what you wrote down and what you thought about as you did this. If you're on Zoom, you can share your reflections with each other in the chat. But yeah, take a second, think about the questions I asked you. What does freedom mean to you? What did you take away from the story of Fannie Barrier Williams? Why do you think you have or have not heard of her before? And it can be anyone in your pew or neighboring your pew. There sounds like there are wonderful conversations happening. So take another minute to wrap them up, and then we'll move on to our next part. Beloved, we want to come back together I know there's some really fruitful conversations happening, and you can definitely continue them during our coffee hour. But we want to come back, and we want to do something else we want to keep talking, just a little bit more shared. Now that you have shared with the person near you, we invite you to share a reflection or any insights you're taking away from the mic. We'll want to start with the kids if the kids would like to share. There is no pressure. And then please come forward and share from the mic so everyone can hear and see you. Was there some significant thing that came out of the past 2 stages of reflection? Maybe you learned something you didn't know you would. If you have mobility issues, please raise your hand, and I am more than happy to come to you with the handheld mic. So now, if you would like to come forward, please do. Would any of our kids like to come forward or no? No? That is okay. They had some really good insights.
I'm looking out to see if anyone else wants to join me up here. No pressure. So I think a big insight for me listening, and then we talked about it, is that freedom is not an individual thing. You're not choosing freedom for yourself, but it's a community-wide human thing. And you can see the difference between the people that view freedom as an individual, it's all about me action, and the people that view freedom as we as a community will support each other in being who we actually are, and we will enable each other to live our actual freedom out together. So I take great pride that we are a community-oriented group of people regarding freedom. So,
thank you.
Thank you, Jenny. I had kind of a very similar thought. In the story of Fannie Barrier Williams, I got more access to the story, so I guess I'm kind of cheating here. But I know that when she went to Boston for music school, the white students were uncomfortable with having her there, and they asked her to leave, and she left. So we see in her story that when she's alone, it's really very difficult for her to make progress. But the things that she does later in life, like founding a hospital, helping to found the NAACP, she always does in community. That, I drew on my paper links of a chain, and I could really feel that in a group, she finds her purpose and she finds her strength. And to me, that was really profound, that's where we find our strength too, in community.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Beth Yergrau, and I had the pleasure of being one of the teachers when Fannie was introduced to the class at the beginning of the month. And I remember that we were all really outraged by the New England Conservatory, that she was asked to leave the New England Conservatory. And one of the students here said that they thought that it was probably the white men that had the most problem with it. And no one disagreed. The other thing that I'm continually outraged and shocked by is how much we did not learn in history and in school and in our lives, and how a woman with these many accomplishments, first of all, that she was able to make a difference, but that she is only now getting recognized in our church, and I hope that she will be further recognized. And anyway, thank you very much for bringing this to our attention.
Thank you, Beth.
My name is Wendy Mastronardi. I'd like to thank our Director of Lifelong Learning and their leadership in this program, and the students and parents involved. Thank you for making me think, and for the question about freedom. Both myself and the person I spoke with immediately went to freedom as the ability to thrive, and then from there I went to the acknowledgement of the generational deterrents that affect people still today from the slavery in our country, that does not give them the same abilities to thrive as other people. So thank you for making me think about that again. One thing that stuck with me was the line from the Nelson Mandela reading about when you get to the top of a mountain, you realize there are many more mountains. And again, the person I shared with reminded me that people had been to the peak before, set the path for you, and more are coming up behind you, that community idea. Thank you.
My name's Karen Gabler, and I was very grateful for this to come up about Fannie Williams, and I was thinking how black women have been very invisible in our society for a long, long time. And when I took Unpacking White Privilege, they talked about how black women are the lowest on the totem pole in many ways. And then I thought of what Trevor Noah said in one of his times after COVID, where he came out and started speaking in audiences again. And he said, if you really want to know what's going on, talk to a black woman. And then I thought about the black women I approached in West Philadelphia with the canvassing I just did. And they just seemed to have, first of all, they had a lot of grace when I approached them. But I feel like they have this wisdom that they said, yeah, I'm voting for her. And maybe we'll have a black woman or a woman of color as our president. And what a perfect time to have Fannie Williams in our service.
Hi, I'm Chuck Foley. When I think of the word freedom, almost always, automatically in my brain, there's another word. And I was it was very good to hear that word also in the early reading in this service. That word is responsibility. And I seldom hear it. I hear a lot about freedom all the time from all sorts of people. And I seldom hear the word responsibility. But to me, that necessarily goes with freedom. The other thing that occurred to me, it was kind of a coincidence, I guess, being that with the presentation about Fannie Williams this morning. By coincidence, I was reading about just yesterday I was reading about one of her cohorts, Ida B. Mills. And so what popped into my head is something that doesn't always necessarily occur to me in conjunction with freedom, but that's courage. Ida B. Mills did a lot of the early work documenting lynching in this country in the late 19th century. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all for such your wonderful sharings and takeaways. Sorry. It really helps fill out the service. And beloved, Fannie Barrier Williams knew deeply how hard the path to freedom was and currently is. Time after time, she talked about how the challenges for black women in particular were extra. If you ever want to read an interesting piece, she spoke at the Religious World Parliament about black women and religion. But as Nelson Mandela reminded us at the start of our service today, the road to freedom is a long one with way too many hills. And there are times you can rest for a moment, but we get up together and we continue on until we find freedom together. And together we go to that land. Now please rise in body or spirit and join us in our closing hymn, Come and Go With Me. It is number 1018 in the Till hymnal. The words, as always, will be on the screen as well. Come and go with me through the land.
Thank you, wonderful, fabulous. Please remain standing and join Allison in the chalice extinguishing words. Go ahead.
We extinguish the flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
Thank you. Our service has ended. Please enjoy a brief postlude from Tom before gathering in our parish hall. Thank you for worshiping up with us today, and happy Sunday.